Hello there, my name is Nate Jackson. The Eclipser. Walking into view for this one because it's Dusan Makavejev time. Yikes. But anyway, welcome to my review of Eclipse Series 18, Dusan Makavejev Free Radical. Yeah, ever since Criterion 8 told me about WR and the Sweet movie, I've been like, oh, great. This won't end well. But then I thought, well, it couldn't be nowhere near as bad as Who Are You, Polly Magoo. That is seriously still the worst movie I've ever seen in the Eclipse series, in any of these Eclipse movies. I don't think anything can top that. But these came close. I will give you that. These came very, very close to having no stars or points or anything with me. But let's go ahead and talk about them. So, Makavejev. They're not as bad as Sweet Movie or WR, but they are pretty terrible. Well, the first two are. The third one, I'm going to give credit. I'm going to give a little credit to the third one. The first one we're going to talk about, Man Is Not a Bird. And I don't have the cases because it's Azusa Pacific sending us these, and they like to just send you the disc. They'll always send you the disc, but they won't send you any artwork, so I have to look at the Wikipedia page for anything else. It's from 1965, 78 minutes, black and white, monaural, I'm assuming, Serbo-Croatian with optional English subtitles, and I don't know, some aspect ratio. So, yeah, they don't even print the aspect ratio on the disc. They print the, I don't know if you can see that, they do print the running time. Oh, I'm assuming you saw that. But anyway, Man Is Not a Bird. Not a great movie. Not a good movie in the slightest. Pretty dumb. It's basically about this engineer named Jan Rudinsky who works in a coal mine, and he works with this guy, what is the guy's name? What is his name? Barbarovic. And the two of them barely, talk to each other, but they're just two people that this movie focuses on. Jan is looking for a place to live, and he's at a barbershop, and the salon girl, Rashka, ends up saying, oh, hey, I know a place. And so she sends him to the place, and it's actually her house where her parents live. And they put him up as a boarder and all that. And she ends up getting really flirty with him, even though she's like 20 years younger than him. But he eventually says, all right, fine. I'll have sex with you, And he does that when they're gone. And so when the parents are gone, because obviously they wouldn't approve. But anyway, on the other side, this Barbalovic guy, he's living there, and I guess he gets arrested for stabbing a singer, and when he's released, he finds out that I guess his wife's dresses have been stolen by his mistress or something, and yeah, and so she ends up getting arrested for attacking the mistress, and it's that isn't really the focus. The focus is Jan, So anyway, they're having sex and all that. Meanwhile, there's this truck driver who keeps flirting with Rashka, and she, was like, no. However, one morning, when her parents come back from their vacation, she sees the two of them in an embrace, and they beat the hell out of her. They throw him out, and so he ends up getting this. He ends up getting this medal. Jan ends up finishing this project that they were working on time, and he ends up getting this medal. And Rashka does not come to the banquet because she's finally, accepted the passions of the truck driver, and so he ends up. Asking her, are you seeing someone else? And she says, yes. And says, how old is he? And it doesn't matter. And he almost looks like he's gonna, break her arms, because she says, oh, you're hurting me, and she runs away, and that's it, So yeah, pretty dumb movie. I thought it was, I mean, it's not the sexually explicit crap that a Sweet movie is, but it gets there. I think the sex scenes were pretty dumb. So I give it a D. It's not worth your time. Trust me. All right, second movie, Love Affair or The Case of the Missing Switchboard Operator. Yeah, that's the whole fucking title. And I'm not saying the Serbo-Croatian. 1967, 79, 68 minutes. See, on Wikipedia it says 79 minutes, but on the disc it says 68 minutes. Yeah. So I don't know, if they're cutting stuff out, but maybe they've just got it wrong. Because it is 68 minutes long. Black and white, monaural, Serbo-Croatian, an optional thing, there's subtitles and some aspect ratio. So, not much better. In fact, possibly maybe a little bit worse. Basically, it's about this woman, Isabella, who's a switchboard operator, and she falls for this guy, Ahmed, who is a sanitation inspector, and he needs a place to live, and they end up moving in together, and they fall in love, and they this happy couple and all that. And meanwhile, there's this guy talking about sex that keeps cutting in and out, and meanwhile they also cut to this police investigation of a woman who drowned, and they talk about her for some time, and they keep cutting back and forth to this woman and Isabella. Spoiler alert, it's the same person. And so Ahmed ends up going up on business, and this guy this postman who keeps coming by the switchboard operator's place of work keeps flirting with her, and eventually she ends up giving in, and it's represented, and their sexual escapades are represented by this weird, this nude couple doing different poses and stuff, and I'm like, what the fuck? So anyway, Ahmed comes back, and she's very depressed and sad, and it's actually kind of hinted at that she's pregnant with the postman's child. And so Ahmed is frustrated to the point where where Isabella's mood ends up driving him to drink, and so he ends up, drinking himself almost to death, and he wants to kill himself, though. Isabella finds him and tries to save him, and he threatens to jump into this vat of water, and in a bit of a tussle, he ends up accidentally pushing her in, and so she ends up drowning, and the police, and he kind of doesn't make really much of an effort to run away. The police end up arresting him for murder, and that's the movie. That's basically the movie, yeah. It's a pretty, again, very dumb. I think Isabella's, it's all dumb people doing dumb things. That's what this movie is. Isabella was a very, very stupid scene, especially the scene of the bit with the black cat on her butt. That was just stupid. So I'm gonna give it a D minus. This is worse. This is definitely worse than Man Is Not a Bird. It's terrible, but it's terrible. It's not Sweet movie bad, but it's getting there. Slowly but surely, we're going down the pipes. Now, on an entirely unrelated note, Innocence Unprotected. 1968, 79 minutes, black and white, Serbo-Croatian with optional English subtitles, some aspect ratio. Now, this one actually wasn't terrible. This actually might be the only good movie, it's not a great movie, the only decent movie Makavejev has ever made. And I say has because he's still alive. I guess he's 85 years old. And it's pretty confusing, but at the same time, it's also kind of informative. It's basically it's a kind of a documentary / showcase. It's about this movie named Innocence Unprotected, which was made back in 1941 and would have been the first Serbo-Croatian talkie, the first non-silent film in Yugoslavia, or whatever. And and it was like banned by the Nazis for radicalism or something. And so I guess Makavejev ended up finding the negatives and all that and restoring it, and made a little kind of mini documentary showcasing long scenes of the film and the actors. I guess it's about this acrobat, this real life acrobat named, oh god, I can't pronounce his name, Dragolub Alexsky, I think. And he was still alive at the time of this documentary, so extensive interviews with him. He does a lot of his old tricks, like, oh god, bending a steel bar with his teeth. I'm just like, fuck, God. But anyway, the movie involves this guy. He's actually an acrobat in the movie, and he's in love with this woman, and he actually gives himself, he wrote and directed the movie himself. And so he ended up being, like, he ends up throwing a song in, he ends up singing, and it's like, oh god, the song is terrible. And so Makavejev ends up throwing in a bunch of newsreels, like wartime newsreels, to kind of give us, I guess, a place of where the movie was during that time. The rest of the movie is, about this acrobat who's in love, and he performs this trick, and he's trying to get rid of his old lover, and some guy gets beat up, and he ends up beating up the guy that is with the girl that he likes, and it's confusing. It's very confusing, but in the end, it's a happy ending. And yeah, that's basically the movie. I was very, very surprised. This honestly wasn't a terrible shitstorm. I give this one credit. It's not a bad film. I'm honestly surprised Makavejev actually did something right in his lifetime. So if you had to watch one Makavejev film, I would go with Innocence Unprotected. It's interesting. It's quirky. It's very, very quirky. It's very, very Makavejev. It's got, the style and editing is very foreshadowing of what WR would be in the near future, because that was his next movie, was WR Mysteries of the Organism. So there is that. But the storyline and the whole plot of the movie makes up for it. So, Innocence Unprotected, what do we give it? I give it, it's not perfect, but I will give it I'll give it a B+. I'm not going to give it an A because it's Makavejev, but I'm going to give it a B+. It's honestly not a terrible movie. I have to set this one aside from the others. Oh, no, wait, it's actually in color. What am I saying? It's actually in a lot of colors. The film that Makavejev set, the film is actually tinted in random places. Mostly blue, but it also switches to red in random spots, mostly during the songs. There's a scene where people are drinking outside, and the whole thing is blue except for their glasses. The beer they're drinking is tinted brown. So, there you are. One point, this woman's dress is, tinted so that it matches the flag and all that. So, anyway, side note. It's an Unprotected B+. Overall, the set gets a C-. The terribleness of the first two movies weighs it down, but the strength of Innocence Unprotected brings it up just a little. So it's not a complete loss, but it's close enough. So get Innocence Unprotected if you can. Don't worry about Love Affair or Man Is Not a Bird. They suck. So anyway, that's it for today, and in fact, that's almost it. In a few weeks, we're going to do the final Eclipse series of this season, the Chantal Ackerman in the 70s set, which I'm not looking forward to because Criterion has told me about that Gene Dealman crap, and so there you are. And then we'll do, talk a little bit about the season and wrap things up, and yeah, we'll probably pick my favorite, and yeah, that's all I've got for you today. So anyway, we'll check back with you sometime 2 or 3 weeks from now. So anyway, stay tuned, and we will see you all then. Goodbye.